How much is the right amount to yell and scream or really chew your team out? If you don't want it to become numb where they're used to it, but you want to get your point across. Right. Like as a first time head coach, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I think it changes from year to year, and I think I heard Mike Tomlin say this back during the preseason. As coaches, we are what our players need us to be, and sometimes they need us to be loving and caring and show them how we serve them, and other times they need us to serve in different ways, and maybe that's just a different way to grab their attention and raise their voice a little bit. So I think there's a fine balance there, but at the end of the day, I think the saying that players don't care how much care how much you know until they know how much you care is still true, and it always will be and always has been, and that's where we got to start, both with love and serving.
In your first preseason as the head coach, have you had to dust off the old the upper register? Have you had to growl at him a little bit?
Well, I think anytime you go through preseason camps, it's sometimes you just need to get their attention in different ways, and well, that's just staying off the ground and practicing with safety, or that's just attention to detail, or whatever it may be. But we've got a pretty good group, and they like ball, and they like practicing, and they love each other, and that makes my job a lot easier for sure.
Blake Harrell, ECU head football coach, joining us, Heister Automotive Group Hotline here on The Drive. How is it different, right? Because you are the official. I don't know if you don't even need a tag on it, but I'll call it the official head coach rather than the interim head coach. What are kind of the biggest differences there for you?
Yeah, I mean, a year ago I was worried about third down stops and how we're going to get the ball back to our offense, and now you kind of see it from a bigger picture where you're putting together practice schedules and organization and making sure everybody's preparing and in game mode, so to speak. And but we have a really good people in our building. It takes a village, and it's certainly our staff, our support staff, and our players all pitching in to do their part to make sure this thing runs smoothly, and that definitely makes my job a lot easier.
How much is that opener against NC State kind of hovering over your preseason after the bowl game, a win for your squad, and the scuffles and everything else that went into that game, knowing that it's pretty rare to play a bowl game and then your opener the next season is against the same team, especially with all the extracurricular stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you're always excited about game one, and that's kind of everybody's preseason talk, whether it's back in the spring or in summer or even here in August. You're always kind of looking forward to that game every year, regardless of who it may be. And this year for us, it just happens to be an opponent that's just up the road from us. And, our fan base and their fan base are live in the same communities and see each other daily. So that kind of adds a little fuel to the fire. Then the fact we, wrapped up last season in a bowl game, finish the season, the last game of the year with them, and then turn around and play them again. An opportunity to go up their place and face off again. And so it's a very different, team on both ends probably. Just you got new faces, new teams, and new coordinators on their end. So there'll be some things that'll be recognizable and some things that'll look the same, but there'll be some things that'll be a little bit different.
You bring up the differences with college football entering what I've been calling kind of the revenue sharing era.
Yeah.
As a coach taking over, where does your program stand in terms of reaching your goal for financial support, or how much you've been told about the percentages that's going to be used out of that revenue sharing opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, we're blessed in Pirate Nation to be in an area where people, football matters. People care about football, and they're willing to support it with everything they have. Obviously, our resources may not be what the ACC is. I think, this year's roster, each year your revenue or your share amount is going to be different, and ours will be different next year. But I think this year, C.J. Bailey's probably going to make more than our entire roster. But you don't focus on that. You focus on what you have and what your resources are and how you can, have success of what you have. And I think that's, not just about revenue share. That's about life, Be blessed to have what you have and make the best of it, and we're certainly going to try to do that.
If the number is going to change year to year, do you have to become a salesman? Or are you going into administration with here are all the reasons why next year we deserve more?
Yeah, I mean, there's things, and I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is you got to go win ball games. If your administration or even your fan base can see you win ball games and be successful, it kind of pushes them to kind of even give you more support. And I think that supports financially, and that allows you to bring in more talent and retain more talent. I mean, we lost, from our last year's roster, guys that didn't play in the bowl game, we lost 5 starters between offense and defense. They're now playing in the ACC and Big 12. If you have some other financial resources, maybe you're able to hold on to those guys. And then, it's also a fact of recruiting and bringing talent into Greenville and into the American Conference and the ECU is being able to do that. So you just got to, you do have to be a salesman, but certainly the best sales job you can do is win football games.
Easter Automotive Group Hotline. That voice you hear is Blake Harrell, head coach of ECU football. Let's talk about one of the guys you did retain. What can we expect from Hauser as the guy under center now that he's kind of similar to you, has had an off season as the guy, and he gets to go into this season with full support?
Yeah, it's the first time here at East Carolina we've had a returning quarterback since the 21-22 season. And, Kaitton did a really good job coming on late in the season and finished strong for us and was just really playing with a lot of confidence, a little swagger out there as well. And, he's a California kid that started out at Michigan State, played as a redshirt freshman up there, transferred here, didn't win the job starting out last season. And then kind of the end of the season, we finished 5-1, and I think that's our best 6-game stretch since like 2014. And that was a big piece of what Kaitton brought to the table. Not only was his arm and just what he's, how he sees things on the field and getting the ball to receivers, but also what he did with his legs that we saw in the bowl game happen. And in the offseason, I'm really just proud of him, how he's leading and taking ownership of that and really doing a great job of just kind of, not just the offense and getting the offense on the same page, but our football team, and just proud of him for that aspect.
I know this is kind of like asking you to name a favorite child, but you brought up that you finished 5-1. That Kaitton finished 5-1 as a starter. That also happens to be your record as interim head coach. That led to you being named the permanent version of that. Is he like, everyone has their guys that mean a little bit more. Does he stand out in your memories because of how you both wrestled the job away and then it led to this year with all the momentum you have?
Yeah, I think it just makes me super proud of him. I mean, and we have so many of those young men that, if we look back to where we were last October, we'd lost 4 out of our last 5. We were 3-4, and our backs were against the wall. And it didn't really matter, how you felt about an individual within your program, whether it's player to player, coach to coach, it didn't matter. We all had a common goal at that point, and our backs were against the wall, and we were in the foxhole together. And, I think anytime you're in the foxhole with somebody and they got your back and you got their back, you have a new level of respect for them and just, new pride about that. And it brings you closer together and tighter together. And that's what we were able to do at the end of last season. Obviously, we can't take one play from last season or one defensive stop from last season into this season, but you can take that confidence that you gain. You can take that team camaraderie, that togetherness, and move forward with that. So and that's what we're really rallying around right now and looking forward to this opener next week.
We're talking with the head coach of ECU football, Blake Harrell, here on The Drive. Coach, you brought it up earlier that last year you were worried about third downs and defensive schemes, and now you're more big-picture head coach stuff. First time, at least as I could tell from your history, coaching offensive players. Did you notice a difference? Are offensive players a little more glory boys? Like now that you're managing both sides of the ball, do you have to treat the offense a little different than the defense?
Yeah, so I started out as a high school coach. I was a JV football coach, and I was the offensive coordinator. So that's where my background originally started, although I spent most of my time on the defense side of the ball. I think young men are young men, and I think they're going to have different swag and different approaches to the game. I think defensively, you got to approach the game always with an edge. Offensively, I think you've got to play the game with the same type of edge. Although, sometimes it's just making sure you execute and get the ball moved around and go score touchdowns. And obviously, you get a receiver score a touchdown, he wants to celebrate maybe a little bit different than if your D lineman gets a sack. But at the end of the day, we're okay with that as long as they're making plays and having great energy and a great attitude. It just means that, and one of the things we say in our locker room is if one of us make a play, we all make a play. It ain't about bringing attention to myself. It's about making them play for the Pirates, and we'll certainly support that.
I'm going to ask you, we'll finish up here with 2 questions, one about the past and then one about the future. You talk about last year and some of the struggles you overcame. You thought you were going to have the first-round talent, Savon Revel, on your defense. He ends up getting hurt so early, still ends up a day 2 pick.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him about how things are going with the Cowboys and maybe what his NFL career started like?
Yeah, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, and he just kind of still bouncing back and getting more and more involved every single day with the Cowboys there. Spoke to several of their coaches, and they're really excited about his future. And, he is a special talent, that's for sure. Just a guy that, we could put a lot of stress on, a lot of pressure on at the corner position to play on the island. And he certainly makes it an easier game for a defensive play caller to call, for sure.
And then last one here, you talked about all the new, right? You had to replace these guys that are in the ACC, the NFL, the Big 12. But you brought in some transfers as well, some freshmen. What newcomer are we going to be talking about, early on when we talk about ECU football and how the early parts of your season are going?
Yeah, so we got a couple. On the defensive side of the ball, we had 2 kids that had left and decided to come back, wanted to finish their career as Pirates. Came here in 2020. And just we had some tight bonds there previously, and then when I had a chance to take over, they wanted the opportunity to come back, and that's Xavier McGyver and Tegan Wilk. And I think they embrace this place. They embrace what Pirate Nation's about. They embrace our culture, and I knew they could help us from a leadership standpoint. So it was really good to add those guys to our defense, who's only returning 2 starters, but adding those 2 guys in, I feel like you return it, bringing back 2 starters. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I think it's Jaquez Petaway, who's playing in the slot for us right now. The Oklahoma transfer, 4-star recruit out of high school out of Dallas there. Has some speed, really good athletic, good ball skills. Looking forward to his year. I think he's going to have a big year for us.
There you go. Blake Harrell, ECU head football coach. Coach, I know this is a busy time of year for you, so thank you for making the time, and good luck this season.
Hey, thank you very much. Take care.